All right, wow. So we're going to be talking about Chaldeans and Chaldea. One of the most famous persons born in the land of Chaldea, or as we will see, the land of Uria or Ur, the city of Ur, is Abraham. So it says here, Abraham, Icons of the Bible by international photographer James C. Lewis, all right? This is not somebody I know. It's not me who made this or made him look like that. That's what he looked like. So what do we supposedly know about Chaldea or Chaldea? Chaldea was a country that existed between the late 10th or early 9th and mid 6th centuries BC, after which the country and its people were absorbed and assimilated into Babylonia. All right, they were absorbed, so they kind of disappeared. They're trying to say Semitic speaking. All right, it was located in the marshy land of the far southern corner of Mesopotamia. All right, so we're gonna dodge the hijack a lot of times in this video. All right, guys, remember, because we're gonna get to some deep stuff. We're gonna try to show a real location of ancient Chaldea. All right, now what they're telling us. Now, the Hebrew Bible uses the term Kasdim. Why? Kasdim. And this is translated as Chaldeans in the Greek Old Testament, although there is some dispute as to whether Kasdim in fact means Chaldean or refers to the South Mesopotamian Chaldea. All right, and actually I believe it's both. Actually, when we read a Islamic and Arabian text, it's called Chaldea instead of, they use the same. In Hebrew it's Kasdim, and for the Hebrews and the Arabs it's Chaldea. Chaldea goes down into builder, meaning builder. All right, a builder. Kasdim, we're gonna see that goes to being somebody too, a person. All right, that's the Chaldeans. That's what they're saying to us, right? According to this blog. All right, it says here Abraham's Chaldean origins and the Chaldee language. In Nehemiah 9:7, it says here, refers to the place of Abraham's birth as Ur Kasdim, literally Ur of the Chaldeans. Academia generally identifies the city with the Sumerian city Ur, although others have suggested different sites. All right, so this is something I want to point out, that they don't actually know the location. They have not been able to prove that the place they're saying is the ancient place called Ur Kasdim. The one they're using today in Iraq. They can't prove that. It's all conjecture, right? They still debate this. It's a debate still today. I'm in the Britannic Encyclopedia website right here. We're talking about Abraham, right? Again, Hebrew patriarch, not just Hebrew, but a Muslim patriarch, right? Abraham, Hebrew, Abraham, originally called Abram. Remember Ibra or feather. Avram, right, the first of the Hebrew patriarchs and a figure revered by the three great monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. According to the biblical book of Genesis, Abraham left Ur in Mesopotamia, right, the land of Ur, right, or Chaldea, Ur, all right. So dodge the hijack with Mesopotamia. Again, we're going to show a real possible location. And what was Mesopotamia? What are they talking about? Because God called him to found a new nation in an undesignated land that he later learned was Canaan, all right, the promised land. He ended up in the promised land, Amaruka. He ended up there from Ur, where it was Ur, the city of Ur, or Uria. Now, I wanted to show this. It says here, critical problem of a biography of Abraham. This is still in the Britannic Encyclopedia. It says there can be no biography of Abraham in the ordinary sense. The most that can be done is to apply the interpretation of modern historical finds to biblical material so as to arrive at a probable judgment as to the background and patterns of events in his life. All right, so that lets you know they're just guessing. All right, based on modern things, they're interpreting probable judgment, probably. This involves a reconstruction of the patriarchal age of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph early in the second millennium, which until the end of the 19th century was unknown and considered virtually unknowable. They don't know anything. Until the end of the 19th century, they couldn't tell you anything before that. And they're still guessing right now. They're trying to say they got it figured out now. It was assumed based on presumed dating of hypothetical biblical sources. Hypothetical, assumed, presumed. They don't know, all right? They don't know is what I wanted to point out. They can't tell you where Ur and Abraham was specifically in a landmass today. They can't tell you. It's unknown. They're guessing. They're assuming. I just wanted to point that out to you. So they cannot tell us where it is if we actually find the real location, because they don't know. All right, so real quick, I just want to show you another name for this Ur, right? This land of Ur. This is from the book Abraham, His Life and Times by William John Dean. And it says here, even the tradition quoted by Eusebius from Eupolemus, a pre-Christian Greek historian, that Ur or Uria, right? You see that? Uria, again, or Uria, or Uria, the land of Uria or Uria Land, Uria Land, as he called it, is the Babylonian city Kamarina or Chaldea polis, points to the same view, or as Professor Rawlinson remarks, these names make it a city of the moon god, which, as we have seen, was the case with Ur. I'm going to read from this book real quick, just to correlate a little bit more. It says, a new system or an analysis of ancient mythology, where an attempt is made to divest tradition of fable and to reduce the truth to its original purity. And that's what we're kind of trying to do. We're trying to make this a historic thing. We're not trying to make this into a religious thing. It's not just Bible stories. Like, this is real history. And this is by Jacob Bryan Esquire. It says, these last we may suppose to have been particularly the inhabitants of the city concerning which we are treating. It says, for here in the true land of Chaldea, we must look for Ur of the Chaldees. We accordingly find that there was such a place called Urcho by Ptolemy, or by Josephus, Ura or Uri. You see that? Uri Land. Replace that with an I. We're going to see what we're talking about later, right? Uri Land. Uri, the land of Ur. By Eusebius, it is rendered Ur, and it was undoubtedly the capital city of the province. Add to this the account given by Eupolemus, who points out plainly the place of the patriarch's birth and abode. We're talking about Abraham. He was born, says this historian, in the city Kamarina of Babylonia, which some call Uria, the land of Uria or Uria Land. By this is denoted a city of the Chaldeans, All right, so now I want to go into the famous works of Flavius Josephus, right? The Antiquities of the Jews, right? He's one of the most famous so-called Jewish historians, right? Quoted and used as a primary source in many instances in academia. We're going to dodge the hijack with this, whitewashed version of him. So this is written by himself. It says here, translated from the original Greek by William Winston, AM, professor of mathematics in the University of Cambridge. All right, so very scholarly source, this one, I guess, right here, right? And we're going to go to a specific page, what he had to say about the Chaldeans. What did Josephus have to say about the Chaldeans, all right? On page 48 of this book, it says here, Shem, the third son of Noah, had 5 sons who inhabited the land that began at the Euphrates and reached to the Indian Ocean. For Elam left behind him the Elamites and the ancestors of the Persians. Whoa, did you know that? All right, I've mentioned this before. Part 2 of my Nations of the World video. All right, Elam is the progenitor of the Elamites, who are actually the ancestors of the Persians. Yeah, the historic Persians are actually descendants of Shem. Yes. So real quick, I just want to show you, when you actually look this up, just generally off the top, they're going to tell you, Old Persian was an ancient civilization centered in the far west and southwest of modern-day Iran, stretching from the lowlands of what is now Khuzestan. All right, blah, 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 blah. They won't ever tell you that they descend from Shem or Elam, an actual person. Elam, it consisted of kingdoms. They just see it as a kingdom, but Elam was a person. Elam. All right, so that's the hijack. This is what they never told you. All right, again, let's go back to Josephus. All right, Elam, that's one of Shem's son, the ancestor of the Persians. Ashur, all right, Ashur lived at the city of Nineveh and named his subjects Assyrians. Yes, the Assyrians are from Ashur. Ashur, all right, Assyrians, Ashur. Again, Ashur was the second son of Shem, the son of Noah. Ashur's brothers were Elam, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. Again, the Assyrians come out of Ashur, who's the son of Shem. The Assyrians and Persians, again, so far, Shem, all right? Persians and Assyrians, who became the most fortunate nation beyond others. Arphaxad, now pay attention, Fasad or Kasan, Fasad named the Arphaxadites, who are now called Chaldeans. Who are the what? The Chaldeans. They're now called Chaldeans. Who? Arphaxadites. The Arphaxadites, or the descendants of Arphaxad. They're Chaldeans, right? Who was the Chaldeans again? That's where Abraham and Terah, his dad, were living in Chaldea, right? Or Uria, the land of Uria, or Uria Land, right? That was actually descendants of Arphaxadites or Arphaxad. Again, all from Shem. Aram had the Aramites, even the Aramites, which the Greeks call Syrians. All right, the Syrians or Aramites are from Aram, which is from Shem. All right, as Lod founded the Lodites. All right, the Lodites, which are now called Lydians. The Lydians are also from Shem. Again, this is Josephus, very scholarly source, according to, colleges and universities and professors, right? Especially when it comes to these old archaic nations, right? So letting you know who the Chaldeans were. Literally, he's letting you know they're now called Chaldeans. Why is he saying that? Or he's letting us know that the descendants of Arphaxad are the ones that eventually became known as Chaldeans. So right now I'm in the 1611 King James Bible. It's an original scanned version of the 1611, the infamous one, the one they, has a little bit more of the books that they took out and put in the Apocrypha. It also has some very neat genealogical family charts, which is going to correlate with what we're learning today. But we just read about Shem's descendants, and I'm assuming to his tree right here. Again, Shem, he had all these kids. One of them was Arphaxad. All right, Arphaxad, right? That's where the Chaldeans come from. They descend from him somewhere. All right, again, also Eber, right? The Hebrews, or Eber, he comes out of Arphaxad too, just like the Chaldeans. And as we just read, Ashur had the Assyrians. The Assyrians are from Ashur. Elam are the Elamites or the Persians. All right, as you can see here, Persians, right? Persians, another source telling you the same thing, not just Josephus. Lud, again, remember the Lydians, They didn't have it here. Aram is the Aramites. All right, just to show you that there's a real history behind these so-called biblical stories and these nations of the world. All right, as you can see, Abraham way down here, as we're talking about the Chaldeans and Abraham coming out of Chaldea, right? So where was really Chaldea, or the land of Uria, Uria Land, Uria Land, Uria Land. All right, so real quick, going to read from the book of Jubilees. Remember, this is one of those books they took out of the first original Bibles. This is an apocryphal book, you know, one of the forbidden or secret books by George H. Scroll, PhD. It says here, chapter 11 of the book of Jubilees. It says, in the 35th Jubilee, in the 3rd week, in the 1st year thereof, Ragev took unto himself a wife, and her name was Orah, the daughter of Or, the daughter of the son of Kesed. All right, the son of Kesed. Remember Kesed, Kesed, remember? Ur was named Kesed, and she bore him a son, and he called his name Seruk. In the 7th year of this week of this Jubilee, and the sons of Noah began to fight with each other, to take captive and to slay each other, one his brother. So see what happened? The descendants of Noah, right, which includes what? Ham, Shem, and Japheth, were all beefing and fighting against each other, slaying each other, spilling each other's blood. All right? And to spill the blood of men over the earth, and to eat blood, and to build strong cities and walls and towers. And single men elevated themselves above the people. Single men became kings, remember? They exalted themselves and first founded kingdoms. And to make war, a nation against a nation, and nations against nations, and city against city, and all things became worse. And they acquired for themselves arms, and taught their sons war, and began to take captive the cities, and to sell male and female slaves. Who did this? Their own families, right? Their own descendants, their own people started fighting each other. Nothing new under the sun, right? And Ur, the son of Kesed, Ur is actual person, the son of Kesed, built Era of the Chaldees, and called its name after his own name and by the name of his father, Ur Kesed, or his name and his dad's name. And he made for himself molten images, and they worshipped each one of his own image, which they had made for themselves by molding. And they began to make sculptured images and unclean forms, and the terrible spirits assisted them and misled them to commit transgression and uncleanliness. And the prince Mastema gave his power to make all this, and through the angels who had been given under his land, he sent out his hand to do all wickedness and sin and transgressions, and to destroy and to murder and to shed blood over the earth. On this account his name was called Sirach, for Sirach turned himself in all things to do all kinds of sin. All right, remember, now we're talking about an ancestor of Abraham. All right, see what he's doing? And he grew and dwelt in Ur of the Chaldees, near to the father Uria Land, of the mother of his wife. And he worshipped idols, and he took to himself a wife in the 36th Jubilee, in the 5th week, and the 1st year thereof, and her name was Melka, the daughter of Keher, the daughter of the brother of his father. And she bore him a son, Nahor, in the 1st year of this week. And he grew and dwelt in Ur of the Chaldees, and his father taught him the researches of the Chaldees, divination and astrology. Divination, right? Magic, right? Astrology, according to the signs of the heavens. Remember, the Chaldeans are famous for that. And in the 37th Jubilee, in the 6th week, in the 1st year thereof, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Iosek, daughter of Nesteg of the Chaldees, and she bore him Terah in the 7th year of this week. Now remember, this is Abraham's father. And it says here in number 10, and the prince Mastema sent ravens and birds that they should eat what was sown on that land, in order to destroy the land, so that they might deprive the children of men of their labor. For before they plowed in the seed, the ravens picked it up from the surface of the ground. On that account his father called his name Terah, because the ravens and the birds robbed them and devoured their seed. And the years began to be barren on account of the birds. And all the fruit of the trees they ate from the trees with great strength. They were able to save a little from all the fruit of the land in their days. And in the 39th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the 1st year, Terah took to himself a wife, and her name was Edna, the daughter of Abram, the daughter of the sister of his father. And in the 7th year of this week, she bore him a son, and he called his name Abram. All right. So she named him after her grandfather. There was actually another Abram before him. You see that? By the name of the father of his mother, for he had died before his daughter conceived a son. Oh, wow. So they named him Abram after his grandfather. You saw that? So this is the famous Abraham. All right. So I just wanted to show you the background of where we get these biblical stories, how, you know, Abraham was in this evil land, right, with all these idols, and his dad and everybody was worshiping idols, and he had to like kind of go against his dad, and he had to flee from there because they were all into this idol worshiping and all this stuff, and he went into the promised land, right, Canaan. All right, so now I just wanted to show this also. They said that Kesed, right, or Kesed. Now it says here about Selah. Let's go back to the genealogical chart real quick. All right, so in case you guys don't know, Selah, and according to biblical genealogy, right, Selah is the son of Arphaxad, right, who is also the ancestor of the Chaldeans, right, and supposed father of Kesed, the dad of Ur, right? We're going to read that, Ur. But Selah is another son of Arphaxad, right? If there is a, and Selah is the dad of Eber, or all of the progenitor of the Hebrews, Eber, right? The feather, those who went away or split, crossed the Euphrates, went away, right? Separated, migrated beyond the river, those on the other side, one literally from the opposite side, right? So just wanted you guys to have a reference. Let's go back. Now you guys know who Salah is when we're talking about Salah, right? Remember, we're talking about Eber's dad. So when we go back to the book of Jubilees, and we're in chapter 8 in the book of Jubilees, and we're on verse number 5, it says here, and in the 4th year, Salah, right? Salah, the dad of Eber, was born, and he grew up and took to himself a wife, and her name was Mu'ak. You see that? Mu'ak, the daughter of Kesed. Who is Kesed? The brother of his father. Whose father? Salah's father. Who is Salah's father? Again, Salah's father is Arphaxad, right? Salah is Arphaxad. So that means that Arphaxad has another son, according to what we just read in Jubilees, named Kesed, which is not shown here, right? They only go down one line. Why is that? Because Kesed was probably going to link you to Chaldeans. They probably don't want you to know the Chaldeans are coming out of Shem too. Now again, just want to point out what Josephus said earlier, right? What did Josephus say? That the Arphadites, or those who descend from Arphaxad, are now called Chaldeans, right? So if Arphaxad, but whether it's directly through him, Arphaxad, or a son he had named Kesed, is literally letting us know, and I want to just leave this thought to you already, that the Chaldeans, because we're going to talk about Chaldea and Shur, the Chaldeans, right? We're going to talk about them. Now we know, right? These are most likely descendants of Arphaxad, a son of Shem, meaning Chaldeans are descendants of Shem. So even Genie has Arphaxad, king of Arphaxad, all right? And it says son of Shem. And it says he's the father of Kesed. There you go, the father of Kesed, Kainan, Anar, Shelah, or Shalah, and 2 others. All right, but Kesed is here. And Kesed, when you click on Kesed, let's go to that. All right, it says husband of Ninsun. Ninsun is a deity in Babylonian, right? Ninsun is the mom of Gilgamesh. Ninsun is the mom of Gilgamesh. Did you know that? That is the wife of Kesed. Kesed, father of Hua Mu'ak. Mu'ak, that's the daughter who married Selah, right? She married Selah and had Eber. All right, like it says in the book of Jubilees, that Selah, he grew up, he took a wife, her name was Mu'ak. Mu'ak, the daughter of Kesed, the brother of his father, Kesed, the son of Arphaxad, right? The son of Arphaxad, who's also the brother, right? Brother of Shelah. Right? He married his daughter Mu'ak. He married his cousin Mu'ak. Ur, you see that? Ur, the son of Ur. Ur is right here. Ur, where the Chaldeans come from. Ur. Look at that. Father of Ora are Chaldeans. Look at that. Kesed and Ninsun, father of Ora, of the Chaldeans, brother of Huamuk. You see, it's all connecting. Jeannie knows something. Jeannie knows something. So I'm glad I was able to clear that up a little bit because we're about to get into a very interesting book. Now, what does all this have to do with Ireland, Kurimeo? Why are you showing us the Irish flag right now? Ireland, 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 or land of Ire, right? Or Irie, Ireland, Ire, or the land of Ur, land of Uria, Chaldea. Remember it said Uria Land. Look at that, Uria Land, Uria Land, Ireland, Uria Land. What does that have to do? Oh, now you're reaching, Kurimeo. You're reaching, man. Come on, man. But what do we know about the Chaldeans, right? The Chaldeans, you know, they're heavy into magic, astrology, right? What do we know about the Celtic, the ancient Irish people and some of the Irish in that land? Celtic magic, astrology. It's kind of almost the same thing, no? Ur, Ireland, Ireland, Ur. All right. So let's continue now that we have a more clear perspective.